there was one thing the world was asking for, it was for one more podcast about CrossFit. Well, here we are anyways. This is the Silverback Media Podcast, where we share the stories of the everyday CrossFitter, so that more people are encouraged and empowered to try it themselves. Here's your host and everyday CrossFitter, Marco Mejia.
What is happening, Silverback Media crew? Welcome back. This week on the show, I've got Rocky DiPalma. Rocky is a CrossFit Level 2 certified coach at CrossFit North Scottsdale. She is also a NASM certified nutrition coach, and she also coaches our Hyrox classes, which recently started. So we get to talk about all that on the show today. We also dive into Rocky's background, how she got into fitness, how she found CrossFit, and a lot of that centers back to, and as she'll tell in her story, around the time when she had kids and realizing that she wanted to make some different choices for herself from a health, fitness, and wellness perspective. And we get to talk about all that along the way and her experience and what she's learned along her time and her experience in and around CrossFit, being a member, coach, nutrition coach, and everything in between. This is part 2. So Rocky is the other nutrition coach that we have with Untapped Nutrition at CrossFit North Scottsdale. They are getting ready to launch their fall nutrition challenge for this year. We had Rachel on the show last week, who is the other coach within the challenge. So you get to hear both of their stories. And if you want more information on that challenge, you can search or reach out to Untapped Nutrition on Instagram to get signed up for the challenge, or you could reach out directly to Rocky or Rachel on Instagram. They each shared their information as well, and I'll have it below in the show notes. So now, with that being said, that is 16 down and 10,000 to go, and let's go talk to Rocky. All right, here we are. Rocky, what's up?
What's up?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. We've made it. We've made it through the week.
We've made it through the week with another one staring right at us in a couple days.
Hey,
so
let us
exciting.
Enjoy the weekend before we get back into Monday and all the responsibilities the next week brings.
See, that's why I like Mondays, right? It's like I always tell people happy Monday. I'm that guy. So
you're that guy.
Which I'm sure probably comes as zero surprise.
Zero surprise.
Yeah. I'm sure you can imagine what like the 5:30 a.m. class on Monday thinks when they walk in and they see me, happy Monday, and they're like, no, please don't.
But they keep coming back, like all 20 of them every week. So
that's not because of me. Don't say it. Let's not that's all right. But enough about that. We're here to talk about you, and hear your backstory, hear how, obviously your CrossFit story and everything. So let's roll it back to the beginning. Let's talk about, Rocky growing up, athletic wise, activity wise. Did you play sports? What were you getting into as a kid, growing up?
So I was very unathletic. I actually never did any kind of sports. I had one semester in high school where I swam.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was short-lived. Sports never really interested me. I didn't have athletic parents. My sister wasn't into sports. It was never anything that was like really introduced to me as a child. So it just,
Okay.
I mean, I didn't know much about it. I had PE, and that was about the extent of it. So yeah, really not a whole lot of exposure or experience with really like moving my body in any way growing up.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff were you into then?
So like little, I did all like, the little kid stuff like ballet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was more into music. So I come from a family of musicians. My dad was, he played the piano and he wrote music and he sang, and my sister also got that gene. I liked to sing, so that was kind of like my outlet, so to speak.
Cool.
So I did voice lessons, and that was pretty much like my avenue. Nothing physical though. Once I got into high school, I would say it died down a little bit, and I kind of just was more interested in like partying and hanging out, versus any kind of activity. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. And it's kind of funny you mentioned the singing piece. So, based off of when this episode's coming out, last week was Rachel's episode, and she
Mhm.
grew up doing choir. And I don't know if
Yeah.
you knew that. Yeah,
So
that
I
was the
remember
first
seeing
time
it
I
on
had
one
heard
of her
that.
like fun facts. Well, and so did I. I don't think to the
Yeah,
extent that she did, but yeah, I did. I was in choir like all through high school. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun group. I loved singing. So like, yeah,
nice.
I think she's got a little more. I think she went deeper into it maybe a little bit later in her life. I kind of stalled out at high school. So
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think she took it further than that. So,
yeah.
okay, cool. So, with that, then, how did when did exercise? Like, did you exercise at all throughout that time? Was that even something you had thought about, focused on, or was it just like, hey, because most people I'm thinking in terms of people that I've had on that grew up playing sports, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's kind of a part of the deal, and it just became for some a part of the routine. For others, it was kind of a necessary thing they had to do along with the sport.
Yeah.
But you going, more the choir route, like how was that even something that you thought about?
Never really. And it's funny too because my like I didn't grow up around sports or a bunch of activity. My mom was an avid runner. So I was exposed to that. She would run like 5, 6 miles a day.
Wow.
So I did see that, but I don't know, I never remember having like the thought of like, oh, this is something I should be doing, or this is something that is good for my body or anything like that. It really wasn't until after I had kids. So my youngest
Oh wow.
is
Okay.
14. So much later in life.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right. So what I mean, not to totally fast forward through a whole
Yeah,
a
that's
whole
fine.
bunch of life there, right?
Yeah.
You get, choir time, high school, college, even some time after college, then before it
Mhm.
even really starts to become something that you think about or consider. Was it when you had kids that became something that you started to look at or think about?
Yeah, so after my son,
Mm.
um, like you get pregnant, you gain weight, obviously, like that's what happens. But after having him, I'm just like, wasn't super comfortable in my body.
Mm.
Um, I had always been very skinny and like lanky growing up, like made fun of in high school, like that kind of skinny. Not by choice. Like I wasn't trying. I just my body type.
Yeah.
Um, so after being pregnant and gaining 50 pounds and just feeling like not like myself, I'm like, okay, maybe this is a good time to explore just moving my body, not just for looks, but like, for health and all the other reasons that come along with it. So I kind of started getting into just gym stuff, like
Mm.
not really knowing what I was doing. I'd go to a class here and there. I would like try some of the machines, but that's kind of when my eyes opened to like, okay, I need to take care of my body if I A want to look a certain way and B be healthy and, be a good role model for my kids too. So
Even that health component and the role model piece, was that something that you were kind of aware of when you started? Because I feel like
it
I don't know, maybe that's just me, but it feels like sometimes that's something that comes later.
yeah, I mean, I
Where
probably, honestly, probably not so much with my first. I mean,
Mm.
I was young. I was 23 when I had him. I think it probably was more so once I started CrossFit,
Mm.
which was after my daughter was born. So like she was probably 3,
Okay.
and having a daughter kind of changed my perspective a little bit to just being a female myself and knowing kind of what comes along with body image issues and all of that. So just realizing that now I have this daughter who's going to be looking up to me. So I kind of just wanted to be better for that reason also, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How did what speaking on that piece of it, what was the perspective shift for you with that? And then we'll get back to the CrossFit piece. 'Cause
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to know
Yeah.
how you got to that point, but just kind of on that topic, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I recall a specific moment it happened, but there was a point in time. So after I had my daughter, I was hyper fixated on just like being skinny again, which is
Mm.
so weird because I grew up hating it, right? But it's just this weird like body dysmorphia stuff. And I was living on literally like juices that I would juice myself, and cottage cheese and like bell peppers, and salads. And I think there was a point where I was maybe looking at photos and I'm like seeing these photos where I'm like, wow, I am skin and bones. Like this is not like healthy. This is not and you don't have I didn't have energy. I wasn't like feeling my best. So it's kind of just all those things started to kind of paint the bigger picture where it was like, okay, it's time to just, you know, buckle down and take care of myself. So
And that was based on, you said, like pictures you saw of yourself where you were like,
yeah, just
ooh.
like looking through pictures. Like at the time when you're living in the moment, like at least for me, it was like I had no idea. Like I thought I was looking good, I thought I was feeling good, and then you kind of fast forward a little bit and then you look back on it and you're like, okay, this is like to feel shocked at pictures you see of yourself where you're like, this is way too skinny. This is not healthy. It kind
Yeah.
of was like, okay, and now I have a daughter. I would hate for her to be in a position to where she feels like she has to eat just salad and cottage cheese to look a certain way. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
my
at that
gosh.
point,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, let's like start adulting a little bit here and taking care of my body. And
Was there any part of you through that time, and I don't know, you tell me if I'm just kind of assuming something, right?
yeah,
Because you said you didn't have energy and things. You also had two young kids. So
yeah,
was there part of it at that point where you didn't have the energy and you're like, well, this is kind of normal. I got two young kids, probably sleep was tough, right?
yeah, yeah,
There's a lot
100%.
of things that come with that.
I'm sure all of that came into play. And it's like, you kind of you don't really realize like, I don't want to say how sick you are because I wasn't sick, but like in any given situation, like you don't always realize it until you start getting better, and then you look
Mhm.
back and you're like, okay, how I was feeling was definitely not normal, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a mom, like I'm still tired. I'm still up late because my now it's different. Now my kids, I gotta wait till my kids get home till I go to sleep, you know? So it's like I'm still not getting the sleep I should be getting. I'm still tired. There's still reasons outside of nutrition that I'm feeling tired, but having everything else dialed in helps, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Agreed. What
yeah.
what what did your workouts look like at that time? Were you just like kind of, going to
Like before
down the street
CrossFit,
gym? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I would go. There was a 24-hour fitness, so I would go in. Super intimidating. Like,
Mm.
I was young. I very clearly had no idea what I was doing. Like I think I hired a trainer at one point to just kind of show me exercises. But in those gyms, I feel like especially you're kind of just like you're another body in the door. It's like you're in and out. There's not
Yeah.
a lot of care, attention, at least what I experienced in the gym that I went to. So um yeah, I don't know what I was doing. I never got any results. I sweat and I was sore. So I'm like, okay, this has to be effective.
Mm.
But it's okay. It was a first step into
Yeah.
kind of the fitness area. So it served
Yeah.
its purpose.
Oh, for sure, right? It got
Yeah.
you in the door and got you moving in the right direction, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and then do you feel like there was a, well, no, you already kind of talked about that. Never mind. So then through that time, had you heard about CrossFit at all? Had it come up? Had it been something that came up for you, or
A
when
little,
did it first kind of come into your
yeah.
view?
So definitely, see, Sina was definitely a little bit after that, a couple years after, I would say. Most of my friends had started CrossFit. It was me and
Oh, really? Okay.
one other friend who like we were the last ones to jump on board. But yeah, they had joined, and so of course, being a CrossFitter, we like to talk about CrossFit, right? And so
Duh.
we my friend and I who had not yet joined, we were just we heard a lot about CrossFit from all of our friends, a lot, and like a lot of trying to get us to hop on board. And it was funny because at that point I consider myself to be pretty stubborn in some ways. And so if someone continues to tell me to do something, I'm like more
Oh, you're
likely to kind of pull back.
yeah.
um, and so it was probably a good couple of years after everyone I knew had started where I was finally like, okay, fine. Took the bait. I'll do it. Um,
What
yeah.
what was that? What was that final like last straw for you? Was it just like tired of like, all right, fine, just shut up about it and I'll try it?
Well, to be honest, there was like not really. It was more I was looking at my friends and I'm like, holy crap, you are so fit. Like
Yeah.
I've known you for years and just the way their bodies had changed and like
Mm.
seeing muscles and also the friends they've made and the community that they were a part of, like all of it, I'm like, okay, this is dumb. Like I could look like you if I would have started 2 years ago, you know? So I was like, okay, fine. Fine, I'll do it.
Do you think you would have held out as long if there wasn't one other person in that friend group who wasn't doing it too? Like if you were the only one or if they were the only one? It's a silly question. It's a hypothetical, but I'm just curious. I'm like,
Yeah,
you know, having someone else in the trenches with you of like, yeah, I'm not
kind
gonna
of,
try
but
that crazy stuff.
also like knowing my nature and having that kind of like stubbornness, I probably still would have been like, no, not doing it.
But
Because
off
you told
limit.
me to, I'm
Yeah.
not doing it. Yeah. But another thing that kind of pushed me forward was like there's the intimidation factor of walking to into a gym where you assume everyone's been doing it for so long and they all know what they're doing, right? And so all of our friends have been doing it for so long and I'm like, I don't want to be that new person walking in. Like I'm
Oh,
too embarrassed, you know?
yeah.
Um, and so I happened to Google CrossFit Aptos, which is where I'm from. It's a small town. I knew there was no CrossFit there. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe if there's one I hadn't heard of, I'll join because I'll know nobody. Like I can have my own space to kind of get
Mm.
started. And then it happened to be that there was somebody in our town that was in the process of opening up a box.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah. And so we connected and I reached out on Facebook. He hadn't even had a building yet, but he's like, hey, let's get this started. I'll take you to the beach. We'll go to the parks. We'll work out in parking lots. Yeah. And so,
Nice.
yeah, that's kind of where my CrossFit journey started, like in parking lots and parks and beaches. But it was awesome. And it was great because we were brand new, but so was everybody else that he was training. So
Oh,
it
that's
just
cool.
felt less intimidating. Um, so yeah, it's kind of a fun story.
That is
Yeah.
so. I mean, like, what did those workouts look like? Hey, quick interruption from me. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If you are, I have a favor to ask of you. The main way that this thing can continue to spread is through word of mouth. So if you're enjoying this episode, send it to someone or share it with someone that may benefit from it or enjoy it as well. Leave a comment, drop a 5-star review, follow the show, share about it on social media. That's the main way that we can help get this message out to others so we can continue to spread this, okay? I'd really appreciate it if you do that. And now let's get back to the show. Because I mean, I got to
Um,
imagine equipment was
yeah, like
probably limited and
yeah,
very odd.
right. Like no barbells. We would do like med balls, some dumbbells, kettlebells, lots of running, um, body weight stuff, air squats, planks, pretty simple stuff like that. But I immediately fell in love.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was like that for a couple months, and then he finally opened up his space, and my best friend and I were the first members to join, the founding members.
Oh,
So yeah,
and was that CrossFit Aptos that you said?
Yeah, CrossFit Aptos. Yeah,
Nice. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Nice. So
So
what was it about those initial workouts that drew you to it so much? I mean, I know like you said, everybody that was there was brand new essentially
uh-huh.
to CrossFit, right?
Yeah,
Which I'm sure helped. Was there anything specific about like the types of workouts, the
yeah.
movements, the variety?
Honestly, I think it was just the first time I had worked out with like one direction and one intention, right? And so
Mm.
having that and then just feeling the way I felt after the workouts, like the endorphins, the like, I feel amazing. Wow, I can't believe my body is capable of what I actually just did. It just kind of became almost like addicting, like, holy crap, look what I can do. Like I could do this and I feel amazing while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also like having, an amazing uh coach like to if I had somebody horrible who just like didn't give a crap and was just kind of like in it for the business and like wasn't actually coaching and was just like here you go, here's your workout, like he was very hands-on, very involved. So I think just all of those things together kind of was the driving force.
I believe it. And there's
Yeah.
okay, so there's two things you said in there that I'm like, oh man, if people could like really grasp these things, right?
Yeah.
And the benefit of starting at a CrossFit gym. One was having intention and direction from a coach.
Mhm.
And, parallel that with your experience when you just kind of started going to the gym by yourself, where you were
Yeah.
like, probably looking around like, I don't know, that machine looks all right. Let me look at this little diagram of a skeleton with some red muscles
Right.
on it and see if I
Mhm.
can figure out how to use this thing, right?
Mhm.
Very different when you walk into a CrossFit gym where you're like, the workout's written for you. So you
Right.
don't have to think about what I'm going to do, right? And then two, you're going to have someone that's actually going to walk you through it, coach you through it. So that way you do it to the best of your ability and continue to improve and meet
Right.
you where you are. So that way you can, get the benefit of the workout. And that kind of feeds into the second piece, which is like realizing that you're capable of something that you weren't,
Right.
which
Yeah.
if you can have that damn near every day, damn near every
And,
time you go into
and
a
I still
class.
do, right? Like 11 years later, there's times, and not every day is going to be amazing, but there's still times 11 years later, I'm walking in the
Yeah.
gym and I'm like, wow. Like I came into this thinking like, there's no way I'm going to lift that weight, or there's no way I'm going to like be able to finish in this time. And then you accomplish it and you're just like, okay, I'm a badass. I got this. I could still do it, you know? So
What was a recent one of those for you?
even, okay. So like yesterday,
Mm.
was not in the best mood yesterday. I'm not gonna lie. I coached a class.
Mm.
I was considering staying to work out after, but then I was like, I don't want to. Like, I don't feel good. I'm gonna leave. And actually, Ashton was like, I think it would be better if you just stayed and like worked out, like sweat a little bit, you'll feel better. And I'm like, okay, but I'm just coming to move. Like, I'm gonna move slowly. I'm just gonna kind of like phone it in,
Mm.
and had zero intentions of really pushing myself. But I went in and like once I started moving, I was like, okay, feeling better. I'm gonna push a little bit, and I ended up, finishing the workout, finishing better than I had intended in doing. So just the mindset of just like getting in and getting it done, no matter what it takes, um, was yesterday was just a perfect example for me. So
Once you get
nothing
started and
amazing,
get
like
moving.
no crazy PRs or anything, but just the fact that I did it at a time where I really didn't want to was a success for me.
Well, and I think having that, having had 11 years of experiences with moments like that, right?
Yeah,
You're able to find those kind of little wins
yeah,
in things that are not as obvious, right?
yeah,
Where like, when you first start, I'm sure like if you went back and thought back to like one of the first moments where you were like, holy crap, I didn't think I was able to do that, right?
yeah,
It's probably a more obvious thing,
a
where
hundred
it's like,
percent, yeah,
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 like a certain movement or a weight you lifted and you were like, holy crap, I didn't think I could do that.
right,
And now it's like you got to be more intentional about it, but you also have way more experience to understand, like, oh no, getting
yeah,
in and just doing the workout when I didn't really feel like doing it, that's a
yeah.
win
It's a
itself.
win in itself, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So then okay, so you're at CrossFit Apto, so you start there, and then how did the workout shift for you once you actually got into a building? How did that change your perspective on
Um,
CrossFit at that point?
so then I was introduced to the barbell. I don't even know if I've ever seen a barbell in my life, let alone touched one. So, as you can imagine, that was a learning curve. Well, like we've all been there, we've all had to learn at some
Yeah.
point. But yeah, so workouts became different, a little more, technical, a little more intense, just because we had, more variety to work with. Um, but it was super fun. Small group. We did like a foundations period. So we spent, I can't remember how long it was, but we probably spent a couple weeks where we were just learning the foundational movements and just getting comfortable holding a barbell and with the different moves. So I thought that was super beneficial. It made it a little bit less scary going into classes. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're just like, okay, 3, 2, 1, go, power clean, snatch, overhead squat. You know what I mean? So that was a nice little stepping stone into it, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. How now, kind of thinking back to what we were talking about before, and what part of your motivation to start CrossFit
Uh-huh.
as you're developing that, you've got these kind of outdoor odd object, odd location workouts.
Yeah.
Then you're getting into a gym, you're getting introduced to things like a barbell. I mean, pull-up bars, I'm sure, is probably something that you're like, holy crap, you can do stuff with that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm kind of assuming. Yeah, you're like, holy crap. So you
Yeah.
probably saw somebody do a muscle up and you were like,
Yeah.
what in the holy
What
hell
is
was that?
that? Yeah.
Um, how did that, how do you think that changed you as a mom from like a parenting perspective throughout that time? Did you notice a change? Did something, what, what was there any shift for you in terms of how you approached that based off of what you learned in the gym?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, Again, like I don't know if it was eh, for me, it hasn't been like an in the moment conscious, like, oh, I'm gonna do this differently because of this. But as time passes and you look back, like in hindsight, like how it affected it, like, yeah, I can say, um, well, one and most obvious, I think, for me is just understanding the importance of moving your body and trying to impress that upon my kids, whether it was, playing outside, riding your bike, walking, being more intentional, I think, with movement, um, being more intentional with nutrition, what they're putting in their bodies, teaching them how to read food labels. I know that's not CrossFit, but nutrition and CrossFit, kind of just the whole bigger picture of health. Um, so that definitely, I think that definitely kind of shaped how I parented in that way. Um, and then also uh, having basically raised my kids like in the gym. I mean, they were young, right? So they were in there with me every single day. And so just to be exposed to that kind of community, like-minded people where they're seeing, you know, guys, girls, kids, teens, just modeling like a healthy lifestyle. I think that's also another thing that's really kind of helped shape their upbringing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's normal for them, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not something yeah, they're just like, oh, that's people don't go to the gym. That's weird,
right,
right?
yeah, totally. So
Yeah.
that was a really cool part of their younger years. I think just having that almost like second family. Like CrossFit is amazing, and probably my favorite thing about it, aside from maybe even more than the workouts, it's just the community that's built, within the walls of those gyms. So just to have them raised in that with so many people who are just so amazing and like care so much about their health and just all of it, it was, I think it's really, I think it's helped to shape who they are and how they kind of view things. So
It's awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
Was there an example of something like that that you can think of that resonates with you of like when, more of the community side of it, right? Where you were like, oh man, like this is really something different.
Yeah. I mean, not, I mean, I don't know, like just not necessarily, but just like meeting very close friends. They would be in there for open workouts or in-house competitions or holiday stuff, and then so just kind of just building that foundation. I don't know if there was any like specific thing that was you know that the moment or the event or whatever.
Gotcha. No,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, because it's the little experiences just stacked on top of each other
totally.
over
Yeah,
time, right?
yeah.
So then when did you think about or did it come to you of getting into coaching?
Yeah, so it came to me. So the guy who opened the gym, he he was kind of in the process of selling it. He ended up selling it to another one of our coaches. And kind of during that whole time, um, he needed extra help with coaching. Like he had life stuff going on, kids and all this. He wanted somebody to take over his kids CrossFit classes. They didn't have a coach for it. And so he just approached me and he's like, "Hey, I think you'd be really good working with kids. Like you've been doing this for a little bit now. Like, what do you think?" And I was like, "Okay." I honestly had never even crossed my mind to become a coach, to be
Yeah.
honest. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. So I did my L1, I think within like a couple weeks of that. So that
Nice.
was 2019. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Yeah, started off by coaching kids CrossFit, which was really
Oh,
fun.
wow.
Yeah,
Right into the
right
fire.
into it. Yeah. Nobody
What,
better. I'm pretty good with kids. It was really fun. But yeah, it was I don't know. Who knows if I would have pursued that if it wasn't kind of just shoved in my lap. I don't know.
oh yeah. Well, and it's a interesting opportunity to go straight, essentially straight into the kids class, right? What was the age group or the age
Oh,
range?
yeah. Like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like young,
Oh,
younger.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was a lot more obviously there's, a fitness component to it. But I'm
Yeah,
sure a lot of it is like, and I know you tell me, obviously you experienced it. It was a lot more just like herding cats, like making sure
kind of.
everybody's
Yeah.
staying
Yeah.
engaged.
Yes. Yeah, and like most of them were there because they wanted to be there, but some of them were just
Oh,
kind
that's
of
cool.
like, they're kids. So yeah, it was a lot more like game centered and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But it was like it was kind of a nice, easy like stepping stone into getting comfortable with just coaching other people.
Yeah. Yeah,
Kids are a
exactly.
little bit less intimidating to coach.
That's a good point. That's right. Because I'm thinking about it like the actual running of the class experience, but also
Yeah,
too, yeah, it's like, yeah,
yeah,
compared to a class of adults, yeah, that's
yeah,
that is a good point. I didn't think about that piece of it.
yeah.
What, so when did you get into, I don't want to say coaching grown-ups, adults.
Are we grown-ups? Do we
That's,
qualify as grown-ups?
see, that's why I
It,
didn't want to say it that way
I know,
because I'm
I know,
like, I mean, I don't even know if I'm a grown-up yet. I'm
I know.
still
It was right around the same time. So shortly after that, I would say within a couple months, probably.
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha. This is pretty quick. Nice.
yeah,
And what I want to ask about your L1 experience.
yeah.
Like when you went to the L1, like
Mhm.
how did that shift thing, did that create, have any sort of shift for you in terms of how you viewed CrossFit, the methodology? And yes, I'm asking that because it happened for me and anyone else that I've asked it happened for them too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm curious how that went for you.
It did. It was great. It was super awesome because I had some of my friends were my L1 seminar staff
Oh,
and
nice.
one of my very first coaches. So it was awesome to see them kind of in that setting and dynamic from more of like a very technical teaching standpoint. They were already people that I knew and trusted, so that was very cool. Um, yeah, and it kind of gave me insight into just like you said, the methodology, the kind of just like the purpose behind it all, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then just of course going into the movements and stuff. I will say L1 was awesome. I think when I really got that like aha kind of thing was with my level 2,
Mhm. Yep.
which was also a great experience. But yeah,
Nice. Yeah,
yeah,
that level one, that's is it's especially, and it was same thing for me, where
mhm,
a lot of it leading up to that was like, oh man, these workouts are awesome, they're so hard, you're
mhm.
learning different things, and then you sit down and you get the couple days of lectures. One, I didn't realize how much pain you could put people through with just a PVC pipe. That was a huge surprise.
I
Like,
I think
oh
I was sore. Like I was sore from that.
yeah, for so long. For so
Sick.
I was like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
um And I mean, you, like you said that, some of the seminar staff members were, coaches you had, friends of yours.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, I didn't necessarily have that
Yeah.
that specific experience. But seeing the seminar staff members and like that level of coaching, and
Mhm.
like, oh my goodness, there's so many more levels to improve at with this aspect of coaching and with the people in front of you in class. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable
100%.
to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
said for you that was 2019. So the year after, and 2019, and you're in California. So the
Uh,
year after, we'll say things got interesting.
things got interesting.
Things got
Yeah.
interesting. So how did that how did that shift for you from a whether it's
Uh,
fitness coaching perspective,
yeah.
with lockdowns and things like that?
Yeah, it was interesting for sure. new owner of the gym acquires this gym, and then everything gets shut
Oh,
down. And then shortly
oh,
after, in our area, just side note, we had massive fires. So not only were you shut down and couldn't work out inside, but like you couldn't really be outside because the air quality was so bad. So that was
oh.
interesting. But once we kind of got back into the flow of things, yeah, the lockdowns, that was challenging. We had a couple big wheelbarrows, and every morning we would just fill them up with whatever we needed for the workouts. People would carry their barbells out to the parking lot. We had like maybe 8 parking spaces coned off. So yeah, we would be out there working out. I would have the early morning classes, so it's still pitch dark, probably 35 degrees,
Oh,
freezing
geez.
cold. Yeah. People were showing up though. Like people were still showing up. People were still working out. We did a lot of Zoom. Um, we allowed people to rent out equipment, so we would kind of coach some things on Zoom or just kind of work out with each other over FaceTime. So we found a way to make it work.
Yeah, I think that was the common theme of that period was do whatever you can, right?
Yeah.
I think the gym that I was at that point, so I was still living in St. Louis then, they
Oh,
rented out equipment, and I remember I think we got one kettlebell. And
yeah.
looking back on it, I'm like that was I think it was a 35 pounder. I'm like we did okay with one kettlebell, but I don't know if I would have chosen just a single kettlebell.
Yeah. I
At least
mean, there's a lot you can do with the kettlebell, but yeah, a single 35-pound one, eh, eh.
yeah. I got into running a lot during that stretch.
I think
It
a
was not
lot
a
of
good time for
us,
me.
yeah. Actually, it's funny because I think it's during COVID. I used to get horrible shin splints when I ran.
Oh, okay.
My form just probably sucked, but during COVID, I started running a lot because there was little else I could do. And I think just the exposure to doing it so often, finally, they're like, I just stopped getting them. So that was kind of a
Nice. There
win.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I had shin splints once in college, and it was one of the worst things that I ever had
So
to deal with.
painful.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, same thing. I started running a ton in during COVID. I think that was right around the time I did one half marathon, and
Ooh.
that's enough. I
One and
do not
done. That's it.
yeah, it was a one and done. It was a trail run that was an out and back. So I didn't realize like, oh, all the downhills on the way out, which seemed so nice and merciful, right? Well, on the way back, guess what? Those turned into uphills,
Yeah.
and it was
Awful.
terrible. I think I ended up walking backwards for the last like mile of it because my quads were cramping so bad. But I was like, I
Awful.
mean, I'm in the middle of the woods, so
Yeah.
I kind of got
Like
to finish
I
this
gotta
thing.
get out of
So
here. So
yeah.
no marathon in your future.
No, 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 I don't want the 26.2 sticker that bad. Like
Yeah, no, we're
it's
good.
not, I'm like, hey, and if you're listening to this and you're doing a marathon, power to you. Love you
Amazing.
for it. Do your thing. It's great
I
for you. I
honestly
love
think
that
it
choice for
is.
you.
I think it's so cool. And I always ask so many questions when I find out because we have some members who are avid runners and who have done marathons, and I'm like so fascinated.
Yeah.
Um, I was talking with a 530 member actually just the other day about it, and I'm just like, tell me more, tell me more. He did one that was like on a track. It was like an
Oh
overnight.
no.
I can't remember how long it was, but it was overnight for like I don't know, hours and hours, just the same loop over and over. I'm like, wow, you are amazing. Cause
Oh my goodness.
yeah, yeah,
So okay, funny similar story, and then we'll get back to you.
yeah.
One of the guys that I had uh on the show is probably I think it was episode 8, Jeff Cooper. What I don't remember the
Huh.
episode number, but that's his name. So he's a member at the gym back in St. Louis where I used to coach. And every year on his birthday, he does some crazy, wild fitness related thing. So
Mhm.
on his 52nd birthday, he ran 52 miles on a track, just
Oh my God.
in circles. It was bananas. I
That's
think he
similar. That's
started
similar though. How long did that take? Do you remember?
it was probably 13 or 14 hours. I remember because he was posting on Instagram throughout the day, right? Just like status updates, and then different people from the gym would go run with him for stretches of time, and they would,
Yeah.
get a few miles in. And I think he might have started at like 7 in the morning. And the only reason why I remember that it took that long was because that night, it was on a Saturday. That night, me and Lindsay went out for dinner, and literally, like, I think like she went to go grab something. So I just like pulled up grabbed my phone because, I'm awkward sitting at a table by myself. So I'm going to
Yeah.
stare at my phone.
Yeah.
And I pull up Instagram and he had shared something on his story. He was like, I need help. I'm like, 13 hours into it. I've got like 10 miles to go or whatever the update was. So me and Lindsay are sitting there with like leftovers from this restaurant that we just went to. And we were like, I mean, it's like 8 o'clock at night. You want to go see for
Yeah.
so we went. I think we just like walked a mile with him, and like he ate the leftover food that
Oh
we
my
had from the restaurant
gosh.
before we had to go home and relieve the babysitter. But it was, yeah, he ended up he got it done. He got it done.
That's
Yeah, it
like
was
that takes
wild
some serious grit.
for sure. A hundred
Yeah.
percent. It was
Yeah.
it. Yeah, especially I feel like once the sun goes down
Yeah.
and you're like, oh man, I've still got a long stretch of time to go. So yeah, it was whenever people do things like that,
Yeah.
whether it's running or anything else, I'm amazed by it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna do it,
Yeah. But
but
so much power to
power
you.
to you.
Yeah.
Props to you for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're, okay, so now back to your story, right? You're
Yeah.
coaching, you're in, so we're in COVID. Then at some point through there is when is around there was when you just said when you moved to Arizona, right?
Yeah. So 2021.
Okay,
So
2021.
it's
Yep.
like a year after, kind of like a year and a few months into it is when we left.
Okay, gotcha.
Mhm.
And so when you got, I mean, I'm sure for you at that point, you're like, all right, first things first, we got to find a CrossFit gym, amongst other things. I'm sure that
Yeah.
that it
No,
takes
that
to
was
move
top of the
move from
list for
state to state.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I remember my first class, it was 2 days after I moved here. I'm like,
Okay,
I have to, like, if I want to, like, my biggest thing was, like, if I want to meet people and make friends, like, where am I going to do that? I got to join a gym, you know?
that's true.
Of course,
Yeah,
I wanted to continue anyway, but so I go to a 6:30 class and Neil was coaching. I saw
nice.
the workout. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It was rowing, which is fine, and handstand push-ups. And if you know me from when I
That's
started
so fine.
I am known for like being such a baby with getting upside down. I hate it. I like cry about it every single time we have to do it. And like, I can't do a handstand push-up, but even just getting upside down, despise it. And so I walk in, I'm like, of course it's handstand push-ups. Why wouldn't it be? Um, but it was fine. It was great. Everybody was very friendly. You had Neil and his accent there to greet me. And yeah, the rest is kind of history. I took a little bit of a break, like a year before going back.
What was
Uh,
that? What initiated that?
so I loved the gym. For me, it was kind of just getting settled into our routine here, and then there was this like kind of homesickness that set in. I loved my gym and I loved my friends and my community so much. And I came out here and I was like, I'm not going to find anything that compares. Like, so why am I going to try kind of this apathetic, viewpoint on it? Um, and I didn't like back to the beginning of my story. Like, I didn't want to be that new person coming in. I didn't want to have to like meet new people. I didn't want to have to expose my weaknesses to these people who don't know me. Just like stupid stuff that literally nobody else cares about, you know. Um, but so I took a year off and I just did like gym stuff. And then again, the opportunity to coach fell into my lap with CrossFit North Scottsdale. And at that point, I was like, okay, I gotta get like, yes, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go coach. I'm gonna get back into it. And then that was, I don't know, few years ago. So
In
or
2022 ish
20,
ish 22, 23,
yeah,
somewhere in that
yeah, it
range. Yeah.
was 22.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So how did that opportunity? Because if you had started at North Scottsdale,
mm,
then take a break. Were
yeah.
you like still in touch with the? I'm guessing still in touch with like Neil and Ash or the other
So
coaches
no,
at the gym.
so it was Shane who owned it when I started.
Oh right, yeah, yeah, okay.
And this is actually kind of ironic. I'm just now kind of realizing. So later to find out he was selling the gym, right?
Okay.
But during that transition period, he was looking for another coach, kind of much like my Aptos story. So he needed a coach. I think they had recently lost one, and we have a mutual friend, my friend Maggie. So I think he went to Maggie and was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a coach. Do you know anybody?" And she came to me, and then I was like, "Screw it, let's do it." So I went in,
Did
met with Shane. Um, and he's like, "Yeah," he's like, let's do this."
Yeah.
I met with him for like 10 minutes. He's like, "Okay, cool. Like, when can you start?" So
Nice. That works out.
yeah,
Did that
it was
help?
great.
Did that help like kind of melt away any of the, like you had mentioned, kind of some of that, a little bit of that
And
fear had come
yeah,
up
kind
about
of
joining a new
intimidation.
community? Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It did. And like I kind of like back to like taking your own advice we were talking about. Like I didn't I didn't want to because I was getting scared for all those reasons and like coming in as the new person. And then I just like it kept replaying in my head what I've often told my kids, like, you have to push yourself outside your comfort zone. You've got to take risks. You've got to do things that feel scary. Like that's the only way you're going to grow. That's the only way, you know. So all these like little pieces of advice that I give to my kids were just replaying in my head. And I'm like, all right, you got to like listen. You've got to practice what you preach, you know? So
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm,
And back
I'm,
to, yeah, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Saying like back to even just part of the reason you started getting into it in the first place, right? Was trying to be, like you had mentioned, right? Working on being a role model for your kids,
Right.
right? Mostly from a health and
Yeah.
fitness standpoint, but also if you want to call it the character development side of
Yeah.
it too, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you're telling them to do this stuff,
Yeah.
well, like you just said, right? You got to practice what you preach.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to go do the thing too.
Right, lead by example. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And thank goodness I did. Like, I've met all my closest friends here through CrossFit, and um, it's just it's a really amazing space to be in. So, yeah, I'm happy I took the jump.
Yeah, agreed. And I think I would hope that anybody else that's made the jump to coaching
Uh,
feels that way too, right? Because man, it makes it I mean, I guess CrossFit in general, not even just specific to coaching.
yeah,
But yeah, like some of my closest friends, whether it's here or still back in St. Louis, right? It's
yeah,
been met through the gym.
yeah,
Sometimes Lindsay will ask me like, "Hey, do you want to like, you know, go do like a guys' night?" Or I'm like, "I go to the gym. That's my social
yeah.
time."
That's my
you know,
that's such a dude thing, though. I will say,
Oh, 100%. For sure.
like,
For sure.
because we like our girls' nights outside the gym, but guys are like
Yeah.
a different, yeah. Um, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So when did the nutrition side of things start being something that you focus more on? I mean, I know you mentioned that like you started, talking to your kids about those kinds of things,
Yeah.
helping them read nutrition, but like when did that become more of a focus for you?
Um, I would say I really like I've always been very kind of nutrition and health focused and very interested in nutrition, but over I'd say probably like the last couple years it was kind of more of an avenue I wanted to explore as far as coaching goes, just to be able to kind of help other people and share my knowledge and just um get people to kind of understand a little bit better about how to fuel their bodies. There is so much information out there, and there are so many different ways to navigate what's best for who, and that could be very daunting. Um, so I kind of just wanted to be a person who could help guide people, especially people like me back in my day when I think, when I thought I was doing amazing things by starving my body to like look a certain way. I want to be that person to educate people, teach people, and just help people kind of get to their goals. So for me, I'm kind of the thought that like you could have fitness and you could go work out, but really without that nutrition piece, you're leaving so much on the table. So I wanted to be able to kind of bridge that gap for people.
That's where it's the the beautiful piece of, that hierarchy of development of an athlete from a CrossFit perspective, right?
Uh-huh.
Then nutrition is the base of that pyramid. So that's something that we, inherently believe as
Mhm.
CrossFitters, CrossFit coaches, is like nutrition is the foundation of it. And
Right.
everything else is kind of not totally secondary, but from a pyramid perspective, from a,
Yeah.
hierarchy perspective, like that
Yeah.
is the base of what everything else is built off of.
Right. Yeah.
So how did you navigate? Like you said, there's so much information, right?
Mhm.
And you had that period of time where, like you said, you were kind of starving yourself, living off of juices, salads, things like that.
Yeah.
How did you navigate that sea of information at that point to change what you were doing at that time?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I had to do kind of just what felt right for me, like as I was doing, right? Like I've tried everything, Whole 30, keto, um, vegan for a little bit, just like all the things, because this is what I was told that I should do, or this is what was best. And then at some point it was like, okay, like how am I feeling? I felt awful when I was doing keto. I did. And so I'm like, why am I still doing this? Because like everywhere on social media is telling me that this is the way to go. I felt like crap. So I kind of got to a point where it was like, okay, I need to listen to my body, see how I'm feeling, like how I'm performing, like how my energy is. And so it was kind of just more of a personal experience, like eating, you know, whole foods when I can, but also like, oh, if I want a cookie, that's also not going to kill me. Um, yeah, the information that's out there, a lot of it, it's like it's a blessing and it's a curse, right? There's so much that you can learn and you can kind of pick and choose what works best for you. But I think a lot of people get hyper fixated on this one end all be all design, and it's just that's not the way. We're not all the same, right? Nutrition isn't the same for everybody. So uh, I think it's just finding what works for you or what works for me, right?
And understanding that just because it worked for you doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. Like,
Right.
and if somebody else does something different and that works for them, like that's cool.
Yeah.
We don't all
Great.
have to be doing the same thing. It's kind of
Right.
like what we were joking about with people running marathons. Like,
Yeah.
great for you. Love that
Yeah.
for you. It's not for
Yeah.
me. And that's okay.
Yeah.
We could both be fine.
And it like, it takes patience and some trial and error, and like sometimes just shutting off the outside noise, because no matter what you are doing, you're gonna see somewhere that you're doing it wrong, even
Oh,
if
for
the
sure.
next person is saying you're doing it right, right? So it
Yeah.
gets very kind of, it's too much information sometimes. So it can be very basic, and it's
Yeah.
very like nutrition was never supposed to be meant to be complicated. Like we have overcomplicated it so much.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be that way. And I think
That,
and it's hard to get that across to people, like I said, when there are so many. You've got your influencers, you've got these fad diets, you've got all these things going on, and it's just, I feel like so much of it is very unnecessary.
did you ever see the dirt diet? Go ahead. When we're done talking, you
No,
Google
I
that one or
haven't.
search for that one.
Is somebody
I
just
didn't
eating dirt?
think so. Yeah. 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 Because apparently
Okay.
there's, nutrients or whatever in soil that's good for you, but they don't put two and two together that you're eating dirt, dude. So
Yeah.
go ahead. I didn't look into it all that much, but I try to do this thing where like, man, it's hard. If you're scrolling social media and something pops up really quick and you could tell it's eye grabbing, I try to scroll away from it as fast as possible. I'm like, I don't want that in my get
Yeah.
out of here.
I know.
Uh,
See, I make the
yeah.
mistake
So
of clicking on it because I'm like, what the heck is this? And then
ah,
and then my algorithm is just filled with like all the weird stuff. So I need to practice the scrolling.
the scroll away, right?
Yeah.
Do you know who? Have you heard of Lane Norton? We might have talked about him at one point before.
I don't think so. Maybe?
No.
I don't know.
So he's someone that I follow a lot from a nutrition perspective, but he said something that I'd never heard it quite put this way. And it's about like that kind of thing we were talking about where people will, try something, it works for them, and then they feel like everybody needs to be doing that thing, right? And the
Yeah.
way he put it was that, like, especially for nutrition, and health stuff, the idea, and kind of, I'm gonna butcher it somewhat just to keep it
Mhm.
short. The idea is that the things that you try that end up working for you is, in essence, to help you live longer.
Right.
Right. So then if you have someone come and say, oh no, that thing, the way you're doing it is wrong, you're
Yeah.
essentially attacking their ability to live longer. You're saying, oh, because of the thing that you're doing, you're gonna die sooner.
Yeah.
And his theory is that like that's why that's a more subconscious reason of why people get so protective of that.
Yeah.
And when
That makes
when I heard
sense.
that, I'm like, huh, that's an interesting perspective. And at least it gives you a little bit of like space to think about that when you're talking to someone that's, I don't know, it doesn't matter what example. If somebody's like, oh, keto is the way to do it, it's like, okay, maybe
Yeah.
that worked for you and that's cool for you. But like that
Right.
doesn't mean that everybody has to do it, right? Like that's just not, that's not the way things work.
Right.
Um, but yeah, sorry, that was just a
Yeah, no,
little aside, something.
it's an interesting take. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like that can be said about most things on a personal level, like your beliefs across anything, right? Like protecting it because I mean, that's how you view the world, that's how you see things, that's your reality kind of depends on your perception and your beliefs on things, right? So as soon as something comes in to threaten that, it
yeah,
becomes kind of defense mechanisms kind of kick in, right? So
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I heard someone else say this too. Is like whenever that happens, a good response is like, "Oh, cool. That's like you choose to live your life a way that I would not prefer to,
Yeah.
and I prefer to live my life this way,
Yeah.
and that's okay. And we can
Yeah.
just all move on and be friends and be
Yeah.
cool." So,
And it should be that simple across everything all the time.
man, oh, should be.
We all just
Goodness
have to
gracious.
continue to work on that. Yeah.
So everybody put the phones down. It's going to be
So
okay.
everybody put your phones.
Unless you're listening to this podcast right now, don't put your phone down.
Exactly.
Keep listening. Keep listening.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, okay. We spun off a little bit there. Let's get
Okay,
this.
yeah. Squirrel.
No, those. So then from a coaching perspective, so
Uh-huh.
like you were saying, right? You wanted to take that next step and really helping guide people and
Mhm.
work with people. When did that become something that you like took on and you were like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start nutrition coaching.
Um, yeah, so just a couple of years ago, I pulled the trigger and I'm like, I signed up through NASM, did my course, and then I had my cert. I'm like, okay, well now what? Like I've got my cert, now what? So in talking with Ash, she was very interested in kind of starting something in-house at CrossFit North Scottsdale to help with nutrition. And so, you know, that's kind of what started this journey with Untapped Nutrition.
Yeah.
And we kind of fell into it at the same time because we had been talking about, her passion for nutrition, mine, what can we do to like kind of move this forward? And then Rachel came, she had the same, background and the same kind of passion. So everything kind of just fell into place at the exact same time. And just with all of us together, we kind of started pushing it forward. And you, of course, which you've kind of helped at the ground level of that. So, you were in there in the trenches with us trying to just get things off the ground.
Moving. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. You're good. You're good.
Uh, so yeah, like I said, got the cert, was like, what am I going to do with it? And
Mhm.
then at that same time, Ash was wanting to kind of spearhead things with Untapped, and here we are today.
And off it went. What's the main thing from a nutrition perspective? What excites you about that when someone comes to work with you, someone wants to work with you? What's something that you're like, oh man, I really hope this person has this kind of takeaway or this experience with me. Like
Yeah.
what is that for you?
My biggest thing is just understanding that like it's okay to eat food. Like food is fuel. My favorite thing honestly is I'm a big advocate of obviously like based on your goals, like eating as much as you can. So a lot of people coming in, they're not eating enough. And so sometimes it's a little bit shocking for them when that initial intake, it's like, okay, well, we're gonna increase your calories based on what you've been eating. So to have people, go into that kind of timidly and then start to kind of understand just how fueling their body and how eating more appropriate to their goals, of course, is, changing the way they feel. It's changing their body composition. It's changing. The biggest thing for me is just changing their outlook on food. Because I work with right now like mostly women, and just I think being a woman and just having just like so much. There's just so much out there with body stuff and such like high standards we think we have to hold ourselves to. So I think just getting people to be okay with kind of bucking against those standards, and as a result seeing positive changes has been my favorite thing so far.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether you want to call it ironic or anything like that, I mean, one, it sounds like you're kind of doing now or want to do now for other people what you essentially set out to do for yourself
Yeah.
when you first started, in a way.
Yeah.
And also kind of like what you wanted to have for, your daughter when she
Yeah.
was born, right? Where you're like, oh crap, like there's a lot of stuff out here
Mhm.
that could set people down the wrong track.
Yeah.
And what can I do to shift that as much as I can?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also like it's okay to indulge sometimes. I think there's this mindset of like you can't have your favorite foods, or you can't, like, when people find out like, oh, I'm fine to eat, like I said, like a cookie, or like I can go have a burger when I go out to eat. It's just so just like kind of managing expectations around that, and also just teaching people to eat in a way to where you can allow those things and still stay on track and still see results.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed if somebody told me I couldn't have a cookie or like pizza or a cheeseburger. You know what I mean? It's like it's balance. If you can't maintain something, and you're gonna burn out. It's gonna be 30 days and you're gonna be over it.
That's where all those fad diets come into play, because
Yeah.
it's like you'll get a result if
Yeah.
you really, really follow those for like a
Yeah.
short-term stretch. But the
Right.
likelihood of being able to keep it up is where it really falls short.
Right. And that's where it's like changing, the mindset on it. And that takes longer than 30 days. It's like building those habits, and in building those habits and giving yourself enough time, you're also seeing results. So it's just reinforcing that like, okay, what I'm doing is working. This is okay. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you only got your certification a couple years ago, right? That
Yeah.
NASM certification.
Yeah.
But it's probably, a stretch of time before that you were even working on that for yourself. Like, do you still
Yeah.
find that you have those thoughts come up even in your own
Yeah.
experience?
I mean, I would be totally lying if I said no, but I have been educated in the food space for, like you said, like way before I started actually coaching people. I have been on and off tracking my macros and just tracking my food for many, many years. So I know that when those voices creep in, it's BS. I know that if I've gotten much better about like, okay, if I've gone off track a little bit this day, that doesn't mean the next day I need to starve myself or, cut a bunch of calories. It's like, okay, it's a day to start over. It's fine. Like a little bit of going off of your plan or whatever you want to call it isn't going to derail you. So these are the things I do have to tell myself from time to time, but the voices get quieter and like much less
Yeah.
frequently, you know. Um Sorry, you hear my dog?
You're good. I didn't hear
Okay.
that. I saw you
um
look and I was like, uh-oh,
I
what's
was
over?
like, I'm surprised they've been this quiet for this long. Um so yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's part of why I asked, right? Is
Yeah.
because, you've been going through your coaching it. You
Yeah.
want people to have this outcome, but that also doesn't mean that you are now immune from it. I don't know if that's
Right.
the right word, but it's like
Yeah.
it still happens to you. You've learned
Yeah.
one that what the voices are telling you aren't it's not
Yeah.
real, right?
The
It's not
voices are
true.
real. Yeah.
Well, they are the
No,
voices,
they're I mean they're
but
they're real, but they're not true. They're not true.
yeah,
Like what they're saying is not true, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
then it's understanding that, learning how to be like, hold on, I smell BS even in my own
Yeah.
head,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
having those tools in your back pocket then to just, hey, time to get back on track the next day,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And hopefully, so no, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, I got one more question for you then.
Okay.
So it's, this is the last question I like to ask people, right? If I put you in a time machine and sent you back in time, let's say to, I'm trying to pick one. Um, let's say to that version of you that's like sitting, you're sitting there and you see those pictures of yourself.
Uh-huh.
Um, you know, I guess would that have been after your daughter was born, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're seeing those pictures of yourself and you're like, ooh, okay, something's not right here. I need to change something, right?
Mhm.
And you get a chance to sit down with that version of yourself, and that version of yourself is like, hey, I heard of this thing called CrossFit,
Uh-huh.
but it looks intimidating, it looks scary. I don't know half the movements they're doing. I can't even understand what the workouts are,
Yeah.
but it seems like people in there, you know, in good shape or whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
Like, what should I do? So now with all of your experience within CrossFit, within nutrition, you get a chance to sit down with that version of yourself for 5 minutes. What's your piece of advice to that
Ooh.
younger Rocky?
Okay. Um, I think my advice would be to one, approach all of it with a very open mind, to understand that, but
Oh
trust the
no.
process and enjoy the journey and not be fixated on any kind of like end result, um, and to just be a sponge, to be open to learning, to be open to um, not being the best at everything you do. Every time you try to attempt something, kind of like leaving your ego at the door and maybe having some humility and understanding that people really aren't looking at you as much as you think they might be, as much as it feels like they are. Everyone's in there to better themselves. And, you know, sometimes most of the times, the hardest and most intimidating things um, bear the sweetest fruits, right? So it's like kind of push through your comfort zone and reap the rewards, and you'll be in good shape.
Yeah. Literally and figuratively, right?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, that was good. I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like as soon as you said it, I'm like, hey, there it is, pun intended, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope you remember all the things you just said, because those are probably things that I'm sure that is we've joked about it in here, right? That
Yeah.
you've probably told your kids about too. So it's like, hey, remember, everybody remember that for yourselves too, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just take your own, we all maybe need to take a little bit more of our own advice sometimes. So
It's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome. All right. Any other thoughts, anything else from your story, or how people can get in touch with you if they want to work with you,
Yeah.
nutrition coaching wise, or anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure once we end, I'll be like, "Oh shoot, I wish I said that." No, I think I've said it all. If you are interested in working with me as either a trainer or a nutrition coach, probably the best way to get a hold of me is through my Instagram, which is Coach Rocky Fit, and or in the gym, or yeah, I think that's it.
There you go.
You have two kids, Jim.
You also run Hyrox classes too,
I
which
do run
the only
high
reason I mention it
rocks.
is because
Oh
you
yeah.
got some, if people go to your Instagram, they'll see some
Oh yeah. Okay,
funny
just
promos.
like a quick thing on that. We
Yeah.
recently started Hyrox classes Tuesday, Thursday at 7:45 at CrossFit North Scottsdale. It's been a hit. I think people are coming back, so that's a great sign. Um, it's been super fun. The workouts are a little bit different than what you would see in your typical CrossFit class. We're not working with barbells, but we've got the sleds, we've got med balls, rowers, all of the Hyrox equipment. Um, And then just as far as the styles of workouts, typically we're doing longer, kind of more endurance aerobic focused ones some days, and then other days focusing kind of more sprinty or like anaerobic, you would call it. Just high power output for shorter periods of time over and over again over the course of like 35 minutes. Um, so it's been really fun. If you haven't tried it, you should come in. Members get a free trial. And yeah, I encourage you to come
Yeah.
try it.
Sweet.
I
Awesome. So
encourage
yeah.
you to come try it, Marco. You just looked surprised.
I was like, oh no. Even after everything we just said about running.
It's
No,
not
I know
all
it's not just
running.
I know
It
it's not
is
just
it
strictly
is a
running. I'm
lot of
joking.
it is a lot of running, but it's not a half marathon. I promise that.
That is fair.
Yeah.
I have a group chat with some friends from the gym that I used to go to back in
Yeah.
St. Louis, and they just sent that I think there's a Hyrox race in Phoenix in
There
2026.
is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if anybody's listening and you're like, hey,
Well,
I've been interested in that
I know
and you're
I'm
local,
interested to see. They'll have to comment on your post or whatever if they're interested. There has been whispers amongst members about some interest, so
ooh,
we might
okay.
have to get like a little group.
Okay. All right. We can all,
Yeah,
yeah, all
you're gonna do it. You
rep
want
the
to be my
gym
partner,
swag.
Hyrox?
Your partner? I don't
You're,
know.
it's a lot of running.
It's a lot of
You
running. It's a
bet.
lot
Yeah.
of running.
Um, yeah, it'll be interesting. It would be cool to get some North Scottsdale people in there.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're planning on signing up for one of those, or I think there's one in Anaheim in December or something like that. I
Yeah.
think we got some people that come, so it's somewhat close in the area. If you
Yep.
need help preparing for one,
Yeah. Come on in.
reach out to Rocky. Come on in Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Sweet. All
All
right,
right.
Rocky, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your story
Yeah.
and
Thank
everything
you.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see you
And all
soon.
right, we'll talk to you soon. See you,
Okay, bye.
everybody.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing with a friend. To get notified of future episodes, please follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you can continue to hear these stories. For more behind-the-scenes content of everyday CrossFitters, follow on YouTube and Instagram at Silverback Media. Until next time, this has been the Silverback Media Podcast.